Welcome to another episode of CBB Review Courtside. Today, we have a very special guest. Stanford's Jared Bynum is with me. Again, as always, I'm Matt Mlodzinski. And before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Follow us at CBB Review, College Basketball Review here on YouTube, as well as X and Instagram. Jared, how you doing today, first off? We're almost at the season, just about 40 days away.
Yeah, we are. I'm doing well today. We had a good team workout this morning, a couple of meetings, just finished eating a meal, so I'm feeling pretty good today.
I know you're probably like, I really got to do this podcast right now. Let me get out of here, right?
Nah, nah, no. Hey, this is the cool part. We get to talk about the experience and everything. So I'm gonna enjoy being on here.
100%. Well, again, I appreciate it. And, you've had an experience, to say the least, in college basketball. Obviously, you've been playing college basketball for a while. You were at St. Joseph's to begin with. People know you for your time at Providence. You redshirted before you started playing there, and now you're at Stanford. I want to hit a little bit first on Providence before we get in. Again, we're going to focus on Stanford a lot today, but you did decide to transfer this year. What were the main reasons for deciding to transfer, especially cross country?
I had a great time, a great experience at Providence. A lot of success. Individually and team wise. Being able to make the tournament back to back years and to go to the Sweet 16. My not this past year, but the year before, and being able to make all conference. I felt like I had a successful career at Providence, and it was fun. I met a lot of great people, had a lot of great coaches, a lot of great teammates, but I just felt like I was at the point in my career where I was ready to just make a change at the time, and whether it was trying to go pro and trying to make an NBA roster, or go to overseas route and make a living over there, or the third option was to enter the transfer portal and see what other programs would fit well with me and I would fit well with them. And when I hit the transfer portal, Stanford was a place that I felt like I'd be able to thrive and on the court and off the court, and achieve a lot of my dreams and goals.
And of course, you come to Stanford out of a little bit of a unique situation, maybe a better situation than most. You played in the Big East and you played under Ed Cooley.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know first. I mean, we actually talked to Ed Cooley way back a few years ago when this platform was first starting here on CBB Review. I know how great of a coach he is.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that experience helps you coming here to Stanford as a transfer, but being able to say, hey, I played for Ed Cooley. I can pretty much play for anyone.
Yeah, Coach Cooley, he's still my guy. He still hits me up and checks on me to see how I'm doing, mentally, basketball wise, or checking on my family and things like that. So I am blessed to be able to say I played for a great coach and a great person like Coach Cooley. And I took a lot of things that I learned from him, and I'm able to apply that to my game. And as far as like mental and physical toughness, and some of his coaching tactics and the way he coached me, and how he and his coaching staff had helped develop my game. And coming from the Big East to the Pac-12 this year is definitely a different playing style. In the Big East, it was a lot more physical, a lot more contact. I felt like every player at every position, point guard through center and 6th, 7th, 8th man coming off the bench, they all were physically built, and you had to prepare yourself for that mentally and physically. But coming to the Pac-12 is going to be a different playing style. I feel like it will fit my style at the same time as how I want to play and the way I feel like I need to play in the future, and then at the same time taking what I learned from playing in the Big East and using that to my advantage in the Pac-12.
That brings up an interesting point because, and this is no shot at the Pac-12 or any other conference in college basketball at all, but I feel like it's often said the Big East is the most physical, the toughest conference in college basketball. You kind of just alluded to it there. So with that being said, I mean, when you head now to play in the Pac-12, is that like a mindset change? Are you thinking, do you have to like play less physical than usual in a new conference?
Um, well, at first I want to agree with you and say that I think, me personally, I think the Big East, yes, is the most physical. I also, tell people I think it's the best conference basketball wise in the country at the same time from top to bottom. But as far as playing less physical, I might have to, depending on how the refereeing and how they make some calls, or how they approach the game in the Pac-12. Because I know in the Big East there wasn't really too many fouls called, so you had to up your physicality a little bit more. But we'll see how it goes. The first couple games, first couple conference games, especially. To see how physical I can be out there, and at the same time, if I can be physical, I feel like that would work to my advantage because I'm kind of used to that, and I've played in that type of basketball environment, for the past 4 years.
Yeah, and obviously you bring in a ton of experience now, and you come to a Stanford team that certainly has experience up and down this team. They bring some guys back. They obviously bring you in. Andre Sosakovich, though, a guy who obviously, he's Page's son. I mean, that's just incredible. What have you learned playing with a talent like him coming in to this Stanford team? And I'm sure he has tons of stories growing up with a father who was a star in the NBA.
Yeah, it's cool, having him on my team, but me and him being teammates, not just playing together on the court, but to be able to build chemistry with him off the court, and to just talk basketball with him because he has great basketball knowledge, great basketball IQ, being Page's son. So a lot of benefits come with that, and even though he's a freshman coming in this year, this summer he came in, he worked hard. That was my biggest takeaway is how hard he worked and how hard he went in drills. And if I was in there after practice getting up extra shots or before, he was in there right with me too. So that just gives me a lot of confidence in him when we go to battle together during the season because he already comes from a great basketball background, and at the same time he's still out there working hard and making his own name for himself at the same time.
Obviously, he's not the only big name on the team. You're there as well. I mean, this is the Stanford team. For those listening, Spencer Jones, a graduate senior. You got Michael Jones, another graduate senior. You certainly have pieces on this team. We ranked you guys as a Page 61st heading into the season. I'm thinking, okay, that's a pretty fair ranking. I know you're probably thinking 61st. We got to be top 25, right? And you should be as well.
Yeah, preseason rankings. I think it's a fun thing to get into. Especially me as a player, just to see where we line up or see what people think about us at the beginning of the year. But I've grown over my career to know that preseason rankings, they only matter in the preseason, and then eventually they don't matter at all. So I just kind of push it as it's something to talk about. But once the ball gets thrown up in the air, none of that really matters because there was teams where I was on where we were picked to be as high as second in the league or the highest third in the league, and we finished towards the bottom of the half. And there was teams where more specifically, the year we won the Big East, we were picked, I think, 7th or 8th in the preseason for the Big East, but we ended up winning the regular season. So, if, as much as everybody knows, I know that preseason rankings don't determine the end of the year rankings. So, I think it's cool, but we're going to keep working hard to try to increase our ranking during the year.
And that's obviously a great mentality to have. But with that being said, again, you guys do certainly have a team that can compete. And I mean, you could end up, being a team that people aren't going to want to play in March, more specifically. That's a long ways away. But as you're coming into November, as we're now just about, I think, 42 days away as I'm recording this podcast with you, what is your thought overall on these guys as, you've been able to have off-season workouts and you're getting closer to tip-off?
Yeah, each day, ever since the summer, the more I got to connect with them, the more, I was able to be on the court with them and play with them. Each day I felt like, our confidence and the, who we want to be, we just kept growing day after day. And, me coming in, I see we have a team that's full of great shooters, a lot of guys that can, put the ball in the basket. We got a lot of great leadership, especially coming from Spencer, a guy that's been here for a while, and he wants to make it to the NCAA tournament. He wants to, be a team that can compete in the Pac-12 and compete for a championship in the Pac-12. So, we got a lot of great pieces. We got a great coaching staff, and my main takeaway as well is just guys want to get in and they want to work and they want to prove other people wrong around the country, and I think we have a great chance of making that happen.
Of course, there is a bit of an elephant in the room. Stanford basketball over the past 7-8 years. I mean, there's been some decent seasons, there's been some losing seasons, but it's been a while since Stanford basketball has really been there on the national scene. You're coming in as the point guard. You're going to have a lot of control for where this Stanford team does finish. Is there a little bit of pressure on that? And do you think that, this is the year that Stanford can get it together and, win 21, 22 plus games?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people try to say that, it's not good to feel pressure or anything like that, but I certainly think there is pressure. And if there is some pressure, then that means, there's some good things that's out there for you to achieve. And, if you don't really feel any pressure, then I don't think you're in the right spot. But I feel a little bit of pressure, just, me, my last year, wanting to make the NCAA tournament, wanting me, make my last year of college very special. And then I know a lot of players on the team, they probably feel a little bit of pressure as well, just itching to get to that NCAA tournament, to get that experience. And, me coming in, being able to say that I've been there and knows what it takes to be there, and also knowing what to do if you don't want to make it there, if that makes sense. So to stay away from those things. But I do feel a little pressure, just, wanting to succeed and wanting to be a good basketball team. But, with that pressure comes a lot of hard work and, realizing what you need to do in order to get there.
Yeah, certainly. Again, you come in, you could be the missing piece. Again, Jared Bynum here with me on CBB Review Courtside with his new team, his third team in college basketball, the Stanford Cardinal. I know it's not really going to affect you, but Stanford moving to the ACC, you obviously know that that's impending for the program.
Yeah.
I do want to know your thoughts, though, on all this conference realignment, since obviously Stanford's involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in your opinion, is it good for college basketball? Is it bad for college basketball? I know that maybe basketball is a little different than some of these other sports that don't have the budgets to be traveling as much.
Yeah. I think it's good and bad. There's some positives and negatives. I think, some of the positives are, some of the conferences you'll have, pretty much tons of high major teams that are just going to be battling it out throughout the whole year. Stanford going to the ACC, you're going to be playing against Duke, UNC, Florida, not Florida, Miami. You'll be traveling to Florida to play Miami. You'll be traveling up north to play Syracuse. All these types of schools that, you probably wouldn't have the opportunity to play against throughout the regular season, in the past. But I think some of the negatives are, you'll be taking away some of those college rivalries that come with the conferences that, you wouldn't necessarily have if they weren't in the same conference, just due to some schools being close enough to have those, interstate or, school to school rivalries that come with college basketball. But I think as a whole, once the fans and the teams and the schools get adjusted to it, I think it's going to eventually get back to that same, college basketball feel. It might be a little bit more intense. It's going to be a lot more traveling, but I mean, I think college basketball is a great experience, and there's going to be a lot of great teams, a lot of great players, and the more that you can bring attention to that, then there's going to be a lot of positives that come from it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, obviously, I mean, these are the days that you're going to remember later on in life. You're going to get to go to places maybe you never thought you'd be able to travel to, and obviously for you, it's your last season. I do want to end with this. When you head into this last season with a Stanford team, a new team for you, just what are your ultimate goals? I mean, I know everyone, the typical Final Four, national championship, but is there anything more? I know you mentioned, your goals of making it professionally. Is that something in the back of your mind? Like what's the one thing you're itching for this season?
Yeah, I mean, individually, I always see myself as, I feel like I'm a high major point guard. I always thought of myself as, one of the best point guards in the country, regardless of what conference I was in or whatever it may be. I just always had that mindset just because of how hard I worked and, the time I put into basketball. So, individually, I have those individual goals of, wanting to be an all conference player, wanting to, make the, all tournament team and things like that. But I know those things can't come unless, I help lead the team to winning some games and being in that national conversation of making a tournament or winning the Pac-12. So, if I felt like I had to pick one goal that I wanted this year is to win the Pac-12 regular season or the Pac-12 tournament, just because it seems like it's turning towards the last year of the Pac-12, and I feel like my last year of college basketball, the last year of the Pac-12, that'd be a great way for me and Stanford to go out with a bang and winning the Pac-12 title, whether regular season and conference, anything like that, to kind of leave our mark at Stanford in the Pac-12 and college basketball, and then pursuing my professional career.
And look, this might be the year to do it. We talk about how the Pac-12 is just far and away the best conference right now in college football. It's looking like it could be in college basketball too. You guys, a ton of other teams look like they might have some of their best teams in a while there in the Pac-12. Jared, again, pleasure having you on here at CBB Review Courtside. Hope to talk to you soon again, and good luck to you guys this season.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hopefully we do talk soon about, some upcoming success.
Yes, that'd be the goal. Again, guys, CBB Review Courtside, Jared Bynum here. Make sure to let us know who you want to have on the show next, and we'll see you next time.